What the Falcons do? Rise up. Welcome to Rise Up Reactions, the show where we talk all things Falcons, NFL, Georgia sports, and in general the sports news of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Lee Denning, lifelong sports fan. And look, today is kind of a weird Monday. I don't have a game to recap for the Falcons, as I've already done that for last week on Friday. Incredibly disappointing showing in Carolina in bad weather with our third-string guard making terrible mistakes, with Marcus Mariota deciding that it was a good idea to attempt to throw a pass while he's already laying on his back. And just in general looking like a rather incompetent team overall, the team that I think a lot of people thought we would be this year when we entered the 2022 season. I wanted to talk a little bit about why we're struggling and also kind of make the case for Desmond Ridder at this point to start as QB. Now, let me be incredibly clear. We are losing games not because of Marcus Mariota. We are losing games as a team as a whole. We are struggling in the secondary. We are struggling to get pressure on the quarterback, which is something we had hoped we would fix with Arnold Ebiketie. It just doesn't seem to be manifesting all that well yet, and Grady Jarrett can't do it alone. I would argue that the Falcons have focused on the wrong positions as a priority in the last 3 years draft class, and some of these guys aren't even on our roster anymore. We just completely missed with some of them. So we've drafted, I would call it meh drafts overall. We've had a couple of gems like A.J. Terrell in 2020, but then Marlon Davidson immediately after in the second round. Even, let's just go back to that draft real quick. Marlon Davidson took him in the second round, no longer on our team. We could have had from a wide receiver standpoint Chase Claypool. We could have had it from a corner position, Trayvon Diggs taken after us. Could have had Jalen Hurts from a quarterback perspective if we were looking that far ahead. J.K. Dobbins, running back. Van Jefferson, wide receiver. There were a lot of guys. I'm just looking for Christian Fulton, trying to find the guys that I know have done relatively well. But again, there are guys there that we could have had after Marlon who would still be of some value to us. Marlon did not end up panning out. Matt Hennessy has been rather disappointing. He's no longer our starting center. We did move him out to guard, and he got hurt as soon as we did that, so it's hard to evaluate him from that position. Michael Walker has been okay for us at the kind of inside linebacker position. Not particularly great. Jalen Hawkins, these are both fourth-round guys, is now a starter, but again, our defense is kind of crap, and these are guys that we're starting right now. So I don't know how much of it's on them and how much of it is on the fact that we don't have particularly good coaching for the personnel that we have. But that's 2020. Going to 2021, we took number 4 overall, Kyle Pitts. Fine, we took a tight end. He had a phenomenal rookie year with Matt Ryan. He's being underutilized now because of our quarterback situation. But let's look at guys we could have had after. Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, J.C. Horn got hurt, but who knows what would happen there. Penei Sewell could have beefed up our offensive line. Patrick frickin' Surtain, the amazing frickin' defensive back in Denver, could have had him. I would rather have Patrick Surtain than Kyle Pitts. Unpopular opinion. Would rather have Surtain. I would rather have Chase. I would rather have Penei Sewell. I don't know if I'd rather have Jalen Waddle. I think he's in the right position there. I would rather have J.C. Horn, Micah Parsons for Dallas, Rashawn Slater. He's hurt now, but he was playing incredibly well for the Chargers. Elijah Vera Tucker has been playing decent football this year for the Jets. There's just a lot of guys that we could have gone with here that have. Again, I don't think anybody would say Kyle Pitts is a miss, but it wasn't what we needed. At the time, we had Calvin Ridley. We just had traded away Julio Jones, but we had Calvin Ridley to build around for the future at the wide receiver position, and we could have taken other guys later on. Then we took Richie Grant in the second round. Just kind of looking through here, I don't see anybody that would. Oh, Asante Samuel Jr. would have rather had him. Let's see here, guys that went after that. That was the one that really stuck out to me. Then we came and took Jalen Mayfield, absolutely god-awful pick out of Michigan, not even on our primary team right now. He's not a starter for us. I think he actually is a practice squad guy now after having a god-awful first year. I would have rather had just about any of these guys that I'm seeing here instead of him. Then we have Darren Hall, who just second-year corner but played absolutely god-awful. He's our backup corner but played god-awful against Carolina, dropping a surefire interception in his chest, failing to get coverage on DJ Moore consistently. Drew Dahlman was a little diamond in the rough there. He's been a very competent starting center for us. And then Taquan Graham in the 5th round. Hard to remember that it's only his second year, but he's the guy who fumbled the ball away on the double fumble play against the Chargers that really, honest to God, it shouldn't have ever happened. I do want to address that very, very briefly here. There is absolutely zero reason that NFL coaches should be running plays when your opponent has no timeouts and you are within a 45-yard field goal range for a game winner when the game is tied. There was no reason that the Chargers should have run a play. We should never have even been in a position where the double fumble should have happened. But anyway, it did happen, and Taquan Graham didn't hold on to the football, but still he made a big play against Carolina, having a big tackle for loss before the half. And then we come to this year. Can't do anything about the first 7 picks, but Drake London has been – it's difficult to evaluate him because we don't have great quarterback play here. But we got Drake London. We could have had Charles Cross, who's looking like he's going to be a franchise left tackle, which is what we needed. I would have rather had him for sure. Garrett Wilson and Olave, I don't know if Drake London's really not as good as these guys, or Jamison Williams. We don't know anything about him. I just don't know because we don't have good production out of Drake London from a good quarterback situation to tell you. But Kyle Hamilton, safety, would have been helpful. Jordan frickin' Davis, UGA player, guy from this area, massive presence. He's never going to be a guy that just racks up stats, but he's going to be a guy that you have to double team from your guard and center or from your guard and tackle, and will allow that edge rusher to get around and actually have production. He is a freaking beast and a freak of nature. There was a stat that came out recently with Philadelphia. When he's on the field, they only allow 2.9 yards per rush. When he's off the field, it's 10.0 yards per rush. So massive change when he's on the field versus now. Could have had a lot of these guys. We chose to go with offense. One of my first videos when I started this channel was around the draft, and it's one of my first shorts where I happened to be in Atlantic City. I was at the Borgata, watching the draft. I was there for a conference, but it was nighttime. I was at the poker room watching the draft. I stepped away so I could make a video, and we take Drake London, and my expression there just says it all. But anyway, could have had him. Ebiketie so far, the jury's out on him. Andrew Booth would have been fine from a corner perspective that Minnesota went with. We could have taken Kenneth Walker. Boye Mafe from Seattle, who's having a good year, could have taken him. God dang, there's Josh Pascal out of Kentucky for defensive end. He's having an okay year so far. There's just a lot of guys here that we could have taken that would have made more sense. And we took Troy Anderson, again, having an okay year. It's hard to ask a lot of rookie middle linebackers. Took Desmond Ridder, which is looking like a blessing right now. But again, could have had Nakobe Dean as well. We took D'Angelo Malone, who we also are trying to use as an edge rusher, and I don't think either him or Ebiketie has had a good chance so far to show what they've got. We didn't have a 4th-round pick. We took Tyler Algier, who's been fine as a 5th-round running back, actually been very good there. And then we took Schaefer out of Georgia, and he's not even on our team right now. He may get brought up now that we have so many injuries, and Colby Gossett has shown that he's nothing but a penalty machine. He actually might get brought in to play guard, which is where he's best suited because he is on our practice squad right now. Would love to see Schaefer in there because he helped Georgia win a freaking national title and was a solid guard for us the entire time. So, anyways, we've had some trouble at the draft position, but now I want to take a moment to make a case for Desmond Ridder and things that we need to do. So, first off, draft, defense, offensive line. I don't care what order it's in, defense, offensive line. So, you got to focus on the defense, and then you got to bring in offensive line help in any way you can. because we are not going to be able to draft a quarterback, most likely, not one of the top talented quarterbacks. So, and I don't know that we need to because we don't know what we have in Ritter. Ritter has apparently not gotten any first-team reps going into the Carolina game, per our beat writer, so I don't blame them for not playing him yet. I do think it's time to start giving him quality first-string reps and seeing what he can do in practice, and finally giving him a shot. Again, do not play him as a starting debut at FedEx Field. If you want to do it this week against the Bears, fine. I think that's a perfectly suitable reason to do it. You've had 10 days to get him prepped. You had him sitting on the bench the entire season so far, learning. And it's time. It's time for him to get a shot. If you don't do it this week, you need to wait till the Steelers 3 weeks from now. And the reason being, you do not want to start your rookie quarterback at FedEx Field, the field that is known for being an absolute shit show of a field in terms of injuries to quarterbacks, running backs, and pretty much any position in the fall. Almost every major injury that's happened there to quarterbacks or players has happened in November. You do not want that. You do not want a hostile atmosphere for him to go into as his first game. And it's just overall, wait till he's at home where people are excited to see him and we want to see the talent that he has. Somewhere that he's, played at before. I played Georgia there before in 2020 for a bowl game. So, he's at least familiar with the stadium. He's been there. It's now his home. So let him play there. But Desmond Ritter in college, he really kind of struggled his first 2 years. And then 2020, he had a 66.2% completion rate, 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And then his senior year where Cincinnati made it to the college football playoffs and didn't play terribly against Alabama. He had a 64.9% completion grade. He had 30 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Overall, a pretty solid career. And he can use his legs to escape pressure as well. Just kind of looking back here, I don't know if that guy is rushing. Yeah, he had 355 rushing yards his senior year, 592 the year before that. So he is the same type of runner that Mariota can be. But it seems like he's a little bit more accurate. And the reason I say that, Mariota now has had 7 years in the NFL and is making rookie mistakes. Incredibly terrible rookie mistakes. And can't complete the ball all that well. So this year, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Every one of them has looked god-awful, has not really been another player's fault, has purely been his fault on those interceptions. He has had incredible difficulty completing passes beyond the 20-yard mark. He has completed some, so yes, it's hyperbole for me to say that, but he is having incredible difficulty completing long passes, as evidenced in the Chargers game where he couldn't connect with a wide-open Pitts twice, and it was not Pitts' fault. So that's a problem for him. He is 33, 38, and 0 as a starter. He's getting touchdowns on the ground. He's getting yardage on the ground. He has 200 or 300 yards so far. 347 yards on the ground. He has 8 fumbles. He's recovered 4 of them, but he has 8 fumbles through 10 games. That's not good. He's got to be better about protecting the ball, and he's just not. So 7 interceptions and 4 lost fumbles, 11 turnovers to 15 total touchdowns. I think he has 3 touchdowns on the ground, but not great numbers here. And then you look at this season, 1,747 yards through the air through 10 games. It's not a great average overall. It's time. He's not looking great. He looked just absolutely pitiful this last week against Carolina. We know what we've got in him. He's a guy that can escape pressure, but still he's taking a ton of sacks as well. 26 sacks this year, 5 of them being in the last game. He's not a guy that's going to be here long-term for us. We knew when we signed him it was a backup contract. It's a backup quarterback that's playing football for us now. We're midway through the season. We have got to see what we have in Desmond. We need to know, are we going to be making a big push in the offseason for a quarterback? Lamar Jackson, I fully expect to get signed back by the Baltimore Ravens. But if he doesn't, Lamar Jackson's a free agent. I would take Lamar Jackson in an Atlanta offense that has a solid rushing game, and that's his game that he likes to play, with a talented wide receiver that we think could be better with a better passer, and an amazing tight end. And we know that Lamar Jackson loves to throw to Mark Andrews. I would absolutely love to have him here. I don't think it's going to happen, but God forbid it does. Say they can't get a deal done and we have the money to make one. Let's get him and draft the defense. it makes so much sense to see what we've got now to know if we do have our future quarterback or if we need to be targeting somebody. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a free agent. Lamar Jackson has that potential. Beyond those two, I don't think there's a free agent quarterback that I would like to have, and I don't think we're going to be high enough in the draft to take a quarterback this year because we are doing relatively well. We are competing with every team that we play against, whereas last year we were blown out in a large number of games and it never felt like we were in them. But now we're actually competing. With the exception of 2 games, we have been in every single game. And even this last game, we had a chance at the end of it to go down and at least tie it. But, again, terrible quarterback play, terrible play calling. A lot of this falls back on Arthur Smith, but I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway. He has last year where we had terrible cap situation and terrible play. This year where we have a worse cap situation and a little bit better play. And next year when we can actually hire the team that we want and we can draft well, I'll give him 3 seasons, and next year is the defining season for him. If he can make it work, if we can start having a winning season, if we get above 500 next year, or if we make a playoff spot, I think Arthur Smith deserves a little bit more time to build on that team. If we have another losing record and it's not even close, then yeah, we need to be looking on from Arthur Smith as coach. But anyways, Desmond Ridder deserves to play at this point in time as long as he's getting first-team reps. And it's beyond time to start getting him some of those reps so we can evaluate him and see what we've got. We still want to win games, but if we get into shootout situations, we already know Marcus Mariota ain't the guy. If we get in a shootout situation, the game's lost unless we do something different. Let's do something bold. Let's see what we've got in our quarterback. Let's let him start in an ideal environment and go from there. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think we need to just ride with Marcus Mariota for the rest of the season? Do you think that we need to look at Desmond and see what we've got in him? Do you think we've got some free agents that we need to bring in? And do you have anybody particularly in mind? I would love to hear about it down in the comments below. Again, thanks for watching. Consider hitting the like button. Subscribe. It will help me reach more people. It will help the channel grow. But until next time, guys, things are looking better for the future for the Falcons. It's just going to be a little bit of a tough slug to get there. But thanks for watching, and as always, rise up.